Okay, dreamer please.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. We'll be looking at the long-awaited Mythical Awakened Evan in Arena. So I'm having 6 different teams, and what I mean by 6 different teams is that I'm gonna use Freyja and Bathory, and I'm also gonna change out Evan's armor 3 times, okay? So I'm gonna do it differently for this video. I'm gonna show you guys all my equipments for my team members here, and you can just take a quick look, take a quick glance, pause the video if you need, because it will go pretty fast because this is a pretty long video. So we just saw Caesar and Wukong. Here is my Chris crit rate counter, and he has height and all blue jewels. So blue jewels are very important right now. I think many top players give their heroes complete blue jewels. They are the new meta, I guess. And also boss jewels, okay, particularly boss blue jewels, very important. For my Freyja, lethal and block and HP, okay, with height as well. Height is very important for Freyja. And for my Evan, we're gonna start with counter. Okay, I've given him double speed because his effect attack is pretty useful, so I want to test out the idea of relying on his speed attack to reduce cooldown, okay, and then we'll talk about that in the matches along the way. I give him blue jewels as well, counter rate, block rate, and also damage reduction for blocking. So my accessory for him is pretty trash, and I don't really have a better one right now, so this will have to do. Willful Ring is definitely more important, okay, than the Guardian Ring, so that is something you just have to take note. So you see that using the Freyja team, my team speed is actually lower. And that's because my Freyja doesn't have speed weapons, none of my heroes have speed weapons, and Evan has a lower speed compared to other heroes. And because he has a non-damaging skill, so his shield skill tends to come up first. You will notice that as well if you do your matches. So there's a disadvantage here if I don't use my Bathory because my Freyja is not on speed. I think it really doesn't matter making Evan the speed leader because ultimately the enemy is still going to go first and they're going to have the first skill advantage. So that is something you guys may want to look out for. See how that affects your run, because I know tank teams naturally should go slower and they win by stalling the enemy. So that shouldn't be a problem, but in this case I'm kind of running a hybrid team with just Evan thrown in. So we'll see how that goes. This is Evan's Awakened skill and is supposedly his strongest skill. So his Awakened skill reduces physical attack, has exploit vulnerability, ignores defense, and also deals a huge amount of physical damage. So as you can see, he is able to cast his shield again at the 8-minute mark, and that is about 2 minutes into the battle. And I think that is pretty useful, especially because he did a few counters and it helped to reduce some time. Okay, so that is the only benefit, I would say, having Evan on counter. And the thing is, Evan actually only reduces cooldown for himself, not even your allies. So having him on speed and counter at this point, my realization is that he only helps himself for that case, okay? And since he is on counter armor, can Evan even live to the back part of the match? Because do remember, you are running on counter.
Darkness engulfed, lights on my cannon. Can't stop me! Those who defy me shall know my wrath. Bring it on. You cannot stop me. Now fall. This mountain is done. Mercy and fear now.
So at the 6-minute mark, you just saw that he actually cast his shield again. So it takes about 2 minutes for him to use the shield. Okay, and the good thing about having 2 counter units is that because my Chris is on the back line and my Evan's on the front line, basically if you have 2 counter units, one at the back and one in front, and since the enemies now, their skills tend to do 3-man AoE damage, single target, they will target different heroes, right? So that's where different counter units can come into play, because sometimes one get hit, sometimes both get hit, and the one with the higher counter will counter. And Evan just died here. So for the sake of this whole video, once Evan dies, I'm going to speed up the run. Okay, so you Basically, in the middle is really just down to Wukong, Chris, or Freyja. Always, okay, at the end, Wukong, Chris, or Freyja. So is Evan a really game-changing hero? I do not think so. There are times when I am still able to win without him, because he died really early. It ultimately depends on who is in your team. In this case, I'm using Bathory without Freyja. The reason why I'm doing this is because I feel that the other three heroes, Wukong, Chris, are pretty much mandatory, especially Caesar. Okay, I didn't really talk about this in Caesar's review, but after watching so many matches to make this video, I realized that Caesar's Parasite is very devastating. And particularly in this match, you will see that how much damage his Parasite will do to the enemy and to me as well. Okay, so back to whether Evan is a game-breaking character, I would say no, because his main role is a support hero, a tank. So he should focus on casting his shields, but not to do damage. So in the end, you wouldn't really want him to be alive in the later part of the match, because he won't do anything much. He will in fact get overwhelmed by the enemy. So what he should really do and what you should try to go for is so that he can sustain himself during the front to mid part of the match, whereby your heroes can take down the enemy fast enough, then that will kind of guarantee you the win. So I think, because my accessory on him is the Galeader's Grudge, which isn't really recommended, I think the Isabella's Vigor is particularly important. Okay, I think the Isabella's Vigor has gained a lot of importance right now, seeing how tank teams are coming back into play. So healing, even though the amount is not as huge and not as, substantial, but it heals every turn. So when you add up all these heals accumulatively over a short period of time, it can be very substantial because turns go by so fast and it heals every turn. So your HP armor is also very important, and that's something we'll look at for Evan later on.
I won't lose hope. I shall be the cataclysm to this land. Those who defy me shall know my wrath.
So far in this particular match, the second match, you will see that the enemy has been crippled down pretty hard, and that is really because of Caesar's Parasite. So here's gonna cast Parasite again, and I think someone died. So yes, all the videos are sped up. I'm very sorry about that, but I really wanted to show you guys a whole variety of matches so that it's not so stagnant, and it's not just like I just recorded 3 arena videos and decided to put it up. So I didn't really count how many times he used his shield here, but his shield, well, as you saw, he died there. Fast forwarded, this match was down to Chris and Wukong as usual, and I don't know why enemy Caesar are always so tanky, but mine dies super early. Also, another thing about the counter armor is that if Evan lives too long in the match, you will realize that Chris having a higher counter will still out counter him, and that makes Evan's counter useless. So counter in the later part of the match is not very good, and especially for Evan, doesn't make sense at all. So in this part of the match, we are going to use the block armor, and I'm going to start with the Freyja team first. So again, Freyja's team will have minus 10 speed than the other heroes, but at this time I'm lazy. I just use Freyja as my attack leader, has the very low speed. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So reflect immunity is going to be something you will want to look into. Maybe not for all heroes, maybe just for some, especially the more important ones, because I'm sure those tank units can live reflect damage, since damage itself from a tank unit is not going to be that much anyway. So as you can see now with the block armor, my Evan is taking far lesser damage from different skills, and unfortunately he's being poisoned here, but that's okay. See, he even resisted and blocked Truth's Awakened skill. Very low damage received. which is a very good thing. And for this, he took about 18,000 damage. Not the most ideal situation because Truth is just all out to kill my Evan. And I think that single target attacks now in the meta are pretty game changing, okay? Especially when you have so many tank units. If your single attack is buffed and hits very hard, it can potentially, you know, change the enemy team's dynamics if you get rid of one tank hero. Again, stats, I have to stress that stats are super important, and that is why you can even see heroes like Karin and Hayong coming back to the meta because just stats, pure stats, and the myth armor makes such a big difference. As you can see, my Caesar died again first. So I really don't know what's wrong with my Caesar. I mean, he does do his job when he lands his parasite. It's super painful. Sometimes I can see that Caesar can actually... Sometimes I see that Caesar's parasite can actually deal about 10,000... reduce 10,000 HP. Okay, that is very significant.
Take a good look. This is my ultimate power. The darkness tarnishes light as the light enshrouds dark.
I think the relation of Evan's skill, Shield, where it cleanses debuffs, is very important to fight against Caesar's parasite. Okay, basically Evan is that cleanser for you. Because you realize that debuffs go by so fast and they are not going to make a big difference to your end result. However, those that last, like Poison and Parasite, are going to make a big difference. So here I swap to Bathory, still on block armor, and this is a very interesting team I met. Truth, Haiyong, Orca, Wukong, and Chris. I haven't seen this team at all, so it was really my first time fighting against it, and seems pretty alright the way Evan is taking the damage from the Orca.
Too much for you. This won't stop me. No more mercy from now on.
And I think the taunt, Wukong just placed taunt on my Caesar, so my Caesar is definitely gonna die very soon. Yeah, as you can see, Truth hits really hard, but Evan is still soaking in that damage thanks to the block armor. As you can see, I'm already preferring the block armor over the counter armor.
Significant. I'll trade this bullet for your life. Do not hold back. Awaken. Useless.
So the thing about the Haiyong team, she heals for about 2,000 I think per skill. So you can see, yeah, right here. She heals about 2.5k, and do note that this is a turn-based healing for 2 turns. So it kind of acts like a HP shield itself. And that is why it's very important that Haiyong goes down first, because if she continuously does this, it's super annoying and you can't really do much, especially when heals tend to stack over time. Basically what I mean by stacking is that if a particular enemy is not touched, because your heroes are doing these single target or 3 target attacks and a particular hero is not touched at all, he is going to heal about 6k, which is very significant. That's what I mean by stacking. So here Evan used his Awakened skill, but it doesn't do that much damage because of the block. So block is again very important, and I think currently with a tank team meta, I think you really need a lot of block armor. Of course, HP for some of them are good too, because some of them will definitely need the healing over time, like Wukong especially.
Today, looks like we have a lot of live targets.
So while fighting all these teams, I kind of thought of a strategy whereby, you know, What if you're using Wukong and your Wukong puts the taunt on the particular tank hero, and then you have a single target attack like from Truth or Chris who deals incredibly heavy damage, and you know it will work to your advantage. So that's a particular strategy you could look into, maybe. Interestingly, we are down to Evan and Wukong. My Chris died even earlier, so now the taunt is on my Evan, which is not gonna be a good thing. Evan clears up all the debuffs and gets a 6000 shield. I don't think he lived that. Yeah, he didn't. So yep, I lost this match. Even with speed advantage, okay, I didn't win this. So it goes to show that Freyja is actually pretty important, despite a lower speed for your team. And here I meet with another Truth team, and do note that this is currently Evan on HP armor. So yeah, the opening shots from the enemy Orca, they are pretty bad, I would say. 1/4 of my Evan's health down. Evan's still not using his shield. So I think it's still about finding the balance between the speed and... ouch. So yes, Evan died here. Look guys, 62k damage from Truth. That is without the block armor. She is on HP. Clearly, it really meant that block is super important. Because if you get targeted like that, your Evan is not gonna live. 62,000 damage, okay. This is the same match. I mean, not the same match. I'm gonna just rerun again with Evan on HP because that was a really crazy fluke battle. Yeah, so here Evan opens with his shield, which looks more right. And basically, I just want to summarize a bit before going into the final battle later. What are the commonalities we have seen throughout all 4 matches so far? Is that Evan doesn't really live all the way to the end. Okay, sometimes he does, but he doesn't do much at that point, okay? He only did live to the end with the block armor. You can see later on in this match, we'll see if he actually lives all the way to the end with the HP armor. And counter again is not necessary. Even for speed, does he really need the speed weapon? Because if he is not going to be utilizing his effect attack so well, why should we give him speed instead? Maybe you can look into giving him crit or lethal, because as far as this video shows, without the counter, he doesn't need the speed weapon, okay? Although I did have a match later on where you can see him doing a lot of effect attacks, which was pretty shocking. So another thing is the formation that you should be using. Because if you saw just now when Truth targeted my Evan, he was in front, so Truth naturally will go for the front hero since it's a single target. That's what I believe. And as a result, he died. So I'm thinking, what if the formation changed instead? Could that have made a difference? Whereby, you know, Evan on HP could still be a very viable option, and hence we can see from this video, because this current match, due to enemy Caesar's formation change, it is totally what I wanted to prove, what I wanted to show, that whether Evan in a different formation with HP armor could be a viable setup. And unfortunately, he died as well. Well, thankfully I won this match because I think I was on the brink of losing. And here I'm fighting my guildmate. Actually, the first match was also against my guildmate. So yeah, this is the match whereby Evan somehow does a lot of effect attacks. And it was pretty interesting and shocking. He's using the same formation as me, Evan in the front, so we'll see how that goes. However, the difference is I'm using Bathory here, and you will see how the Bathory team fares compared to the Freyja team. The Bathory team, remember, gives me the speed advantage, unlike the Freyja team. In his case, he is using Bathory and Freyja together, so he does have the speed advantage. So maybe with his team in mind, that's something you may want to take reference from, such that you have both Freyja and Bathory. I believe he took out Caesar. Yeah, he did. And Freyja nuked me super hard. So I'm thinking if Evan actually has crit weapons, his Awakened skill could be doing a lot more and could make a bigger difference in the matches. And I really don't understand why the Bathory targeted my Chris here, because it's supposed to be Wukong. Wukong's supposed to have higher attack.
You cannot stop me. Now fall. Take a look. This is my ultimate power. Don't stop me. Those who defy me shall know my wrath.
So as you can see here, HP armor pretty decent. Okay, pretty decent. I think the Truth match was really just an anomaly. Truth was just too overpowered with that single target skill. So if you kind of like average out across many matches, I think HP is still okay. It's just that if you meet with a Truth or meet with any hero with very strong crit rate, like in this case, look at the Chris, critted my Evan, then Evan's health will go down really fast.
Darkness engulfed light. Oh my God. Find it. No one knows.
So yeah, like in this case, Evan is staying on the field till pretty late with Wukong, but he really won't do much at this point. Okay, because we still have Freyja to deal with, we still have Chris to deal with, and we still have Wukong to deal with, and he just used 3 effect attacks, which are not going to be too important as well. We really have to relook at whether crit or lethal is also good for him, because if he reduces cooldown for himself only, then what is the point? You know, because he isn't going to move much to begin with when you have another counter unit on the field.
No more mercy from now on. Don't stop me. Weaklings, get out of my way. Foolish enough to look away from me. Take a good look. This is my ultimate power. Endure if you can. From now on.
So that's it for what I have about Evan. Do let me know about your thoughts and how you have geared him. I would love to know, and do share with the rest of the players as well down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and see you!